Ambassador Krelvax of the Zynthian hegemony stood before the Galactic Council, his 6 eyes gleaming with predatory satisfaction. Behind him, holographic displays showed human colony worlds, vulnerable, isolated, perfect targets. "The humans," he announced, his translator rendering his chittering into a dozen languages, "have rejected our generous offer of protection. They refuse to pay tribute. They refuse to acknowledge Zynthian supremacy in the Outer Rim." The council chamber, a massive spherical structure floating in neutral space, erupted in murmurs. The Zynthians were not known for accepting defiance. They were apex predators from a death world, standing nearly 3 meters tall with exoskeletons that could deflect plasma fire and mandibles strong enough to crush steel. Councillor Tavera of the Melodian Collective raised a crystalline appendage. "Ambassador, the humans are a young species. They've been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries. Perhaps diplomacy has failed," Krelvax interrupted, his voice dripping with contempt. "We have given them 1 standard week to comply. If they do not, we will demonstrate why the Zynthian hegemony has ruled the Outer Rim for 3,000 years. In the human delegation's booth, Captain Sarah Chen sat perfectly still, her face an unreadable mask. Beside her, Admiral James Okafor leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. To the untrained eye, they appeared calm. Almost bored, Tavera noticed. She had dealt with humans before during trade negotiations. She recognized that particular stillness. It wasn't peace. It was the eye of a storm. "Captain Chen," Tavera said carefully, "does Earth have a response?" Sarah stood, her movements precise. She was small by galactic standards, barely 1.7 meters, with none of the natural armor or weapons that most council species possessed. She looked fragile. "Ambassador Krelvax," Sarah said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, "you should know something about humans before you proceed." Krelvax's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Enlighten us, little mammal." "We're not impressed by threats," Sarah continued. "We evolved on a planet that's been trying to kill us since before we climbed down from the trees. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, ice ages. Earth threw everything at us. And we're still here." "Fascinating," Krelvax said mockingly. "A primitive world breeds primitive creatures. This changes nothing." "I'm not finished." Sarah's eyes hardened. "You see, Ambassador, humans have a peculiar trait. We don't respond well to bullies. In fact, we have a rather unfortunate history of doing incredibly stupid things when someone tries to intimidate us." Admiral Okafor stood now, his massive frame dwarfing even Sarah. "Let me tell you a story, Ambassador. A few centuries ago on Earth, there was an empire, the British Empire, most powerful force on the planet. They decided to push around some colonists in North America, demanded tribute, demanded submission, and," Krelvax asked, his patience wearing thin, "those colonists, farmers, shopkeepers, people with no formal military training, they fought back against the most powerful empire on Earth. And they won." Okafor smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Humans have fought wars over tea taxes, Ambassador. Over parking spaces. Over insults and pride and things that most species would consider trivial. We're not logical about violence. We're passionate about it." Tavera felt her crystalline structure vibrate with concern. She pulled up human historical records on her private console. Battle of Thermopylae, Stalingrad, Iwo Jima, the Siege of Jedoville. Page after page of humans fighting against overwhelming odds, refusing to surrender, often winning through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "You're bluffing," Krelvax said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "Your colonies are scattered. Your fleet is small. We outnumber you 50 to 1. "Yes," Sarah agreed. "You do. And if you attack us, you'll win the first battle. Maybe even the second and third. But here's what you need to understand about humans, Ambassador. We don't forgive. We don't forget. And we never ever quit." She pulled up her own holographic display. "This is the human colony on Proxima 4. Population 15,000. They're farmers and scientists. Pacifists mostly. But when the Krill pirates attacked them 5 years ago, do you know what happened?" The display showed grainy footage of colonists, civilians, rigging explosives, setting traps, fighting with mining equipment and improvised weapons. The Krill pirates, a feared raiding force, had retreated after losing a third of their number. "Those were non-military personnel," Admiral Okafor added. "No training. No real weapons, just humans who got angry. Krelvax's eyes narrowed. You think this frightens us? No, Sarah said quietly. But it should. Because if you attack our colonies, every human in the galaxy will consider it a personal insult. We'll retrofit our cargo ships into warships. We'll turn our mining lasers into weapons. Our scientists will stop researching medicine and start designing better ways to kill you. And we won't stop until either we're extinct or you are. The chamber fell silent. Moreover, Sarah continued, humans have another peculiar trait. We make friends easily. We've signed mutual defense pacts with 17 species in just the past 50 years. The Melodians, the Carathians, the Vespan Swarm, all of them have agreed to come to our aid if we're attacked without provocation. Tavera's console lit up with urgent messages from her government. Yes, the treaty was real. Yes, they would honor it. Humanity had been generous trading partners, sharing technology freely, offering aid without strings attached. The Melodians would not abandon them. Similar confirmations began flooding in from other species. Krelvax's confidence finally cracked. He looked around the chamber, seeing the subtle shifts in posture, the quiet consultations. The galactic community wouldn't stand by if the Zynthians attacked unprovoked. This is absurd, he hissed. You would risk galactic war over tribute from a handful of primitive colonies? No, Admiral Okafor said, his voice hard as neutronium. You would risk galactic war because you're too arrogant to leave us alone. The choice has always been yours, Ambassador. Sarah leaned forward, her small frame suddenly seeming much larger. Go home, Ambassador. Tell your hegemony that humans are willing to be friends with anyone in the galaxy, but we will not be victims, not now, not ever. Krelvax stood motionless for a long moment. Finally, his translator crackled to life. The Zynthian hegemony will reconsider its position. As the Zynthian delegation filed out, Tavera approached the human booth. Captain Chen, was that truly necessary? The threats, the posturing? Sarah's expression softened slightly. Counselor, I meant every word. But I also hoped it wouldn't come to violence. Humans prefer peace. We just refuse to accept it at any price. Tavera's crystalline structure pulsed thoughtfully. The galaxy had learned something important today. Humans might be small, young, and relatively weak by galactic standards, but they had something more dangerous than armor or natural weapons. They had spite. And in a universe full of logical, calculating species, spite was a weapon no one knew how to counter.